I want you to picture two apartments. Same city, same neighborhood, similar rent. The first apartment belongs to Marcus. He earns $95,000 a year. Walk inside and you will see a 75-inch television on the wall, a leather sofa that cost $3,500, a kitchen full of gadgets, an espresso machine, an air fryer, a stand mixer, a sous vide cooker, most of them used twice, and now sitting at the back of cupboards like trophies. The spare bedroom is full. The garage storage unit, $120 a month, is full of things that have not been touched in 2 years. Marcus checks his bank account with a knot in his stomach. He has $2,200 in savings. He is 2 missed paychecks away from a crisis. He earns $95,000 a year, and by any honest measure, he is broke. The second apartment belongs to Claire. She earns $54,000 a year. Walk inside, and you notice something straight away. Space. A modest sofa, a reasonably sized television, a kitchen with the tools that actually get used, a good knife, a cast iron pan, a $30 coffee maker that works perfectly. The spare bedroom is actually a bedroom. The closet has clothes in it, not a collection. Clothes. Things that get worn. Claire checks her bank account with calm. She has 14 months of expenses saved. She invests 20% of every paycheck. She sleeps through the night without doing mental maths about whether she can cover next month's rent. Same neighborhood. The person earning almost half as much has nearly 10 times the financial security. And if you met them both at a dinner party, you would assume Marcus was doing better. Because Marcus looks like he is doing better. He has the stuff. He has the lifestyle. He has all the visible signs of success. But financial security is invisible. And the gap between looking successful and being secure is the most expensive gap in personal finance. Today I am going to show you exactly why people who earn less consistently end up with more. More savings, more freedom, more options, more peace, and what they understand about money that high earners never figure out until it is too late. Marcus is not bad with money in any obvious way. He does not gamble. He does not have an expensive habit. He does not make one huge, stupid purchase. He just gradually, over a few years, built a lifestyle that needs every dollar he earns to keep going. The lifestyle grew with every raise, every bonus, every promotion. And now the lifestyle is the one in charge. It tells him how much he needs to earn. It tells him which jobs he can consider. It tells him how much risk he can take. It tells him whether he can say no. Claire discovered something that most high earners never figure out. She learned that owning less does not mean living worse. It means living on purpose. And living on purpose creates margin, a gap between what you earn and what you need, that most people, even people earning twice as much, never experience. That margin is the whole game. Not income, not investment returns, not stock picks or side hustles. Margin. The gap between what you earn and what you need to spend. Everything else, the investing, the compounding, the wealth building, only works if that gap exists first. If the gap does not exist, none of the rest of it matters. There is one idea I want to explain that will change how you think about every purchase you make. Everything you own costs you money twice. The first cost is obvious. It is the price tag. The number on the receipt. Everyone sees this cost. Everyone thinks about it when they decide whether to buy something. But there is a second cost, and most people never add it up. The second cost is storage. Everything you own takes up space. Space costs money. In most cities, the real cost of residential space runs roughly $30 to $50 per square foot every year. A treadmill takes up about 20 square feet. That is $600 to $1,000 a year in rent you are paying just to store equipment that becomes a clothes hanger within 6 months. You are not just buying a treadmill. You are renting the treadmill a flat. The second cost is maintenance. Everything needs some kind of upkeep. A $30,000 boat costs roughly $3,000 a year to own. Insurance, cleaning, registration, repairs. Even if it never leaves the driveway. The meter runs whether you use it or not. The second cost is mental energy. Every single thing you own takes up a small piece of your attention. Research shows that visual clutter increases stress hormones and reduces your ability to focus. Your stuff is quietly stressing you out in ways you cannot consciously feel. The second cost is opportunity cost. This is the biggest one. Every dollar locked up in a possession is a dollar not growing somewhere else. That $12,000 home gym could have been $12,000 in an index fund. At 8% average annual returns, that becomes roughly $40,000 over 15 years. You did not just buy a home gym. You bought a home gym instead of $40,000 in future wealth. The treadmill receipt said $1,200. The true cost when you add storage, maintenance, mental energy, and opportunity cost is closer to $8,000. Marcus has never added up the second costs. He sees the price tag and stops there. Claire adds them up every time. She knows that ownership costs more than the receipt shows, and most things are not worth it when you calculate the real price. The first rule that separates people who always have money from people who never do, regardless of income, is cost per use. Before buying anything, work out how many times you will realistically use it. Not how many times you hope to use it. Not how many times the best version of you would use it. How many times will you actually use it? Given your real life and your real habits, divide the total cost, including the hidden costs, by that number. That gives you cost per use, the only honest measure of whether something is worth it. A $200 jacket you wear twice costs $100 per wear. A $400 jacket you wear 200 times costs $2 per wear. The expensive jacket is actually 10 times cheaper in any real sense. This calculation destroys most impulse purchases immediately. That $300 kitchen gadget you will use 3 times a year costs $100 per use. A $30 kitchen tool you use every week costs 58 cents per use in the first year alone. The math cuts through the marketing and the excitement and the social pressure. It shows you what actually makes sense versus what just felt good in the moment. Marcus buys based on excitement. He sees the gadget, imagines the version of himself that uses it every day, and buys it. Claire buys based on cost per use. She imagines how many times she will actually reach for it and divides the price by that number. The same logic also tells her when spending more is worth it. A $2,000 mattress used every night for 10 years costs about 55 cents per use. That is extraordinary value for something that affects your health and energy every single day. A $1,400 espresso machine, used daily for 5 years, costs less than $1 per use and probably saves money compared to the coffee shop. The rule does not say spend less on everything. It says spend based on how much use you actually get, and be honest about it. Here is the second rule, and it requires honest answers. For everything you already own, ask yourself one question. If this item disappeared today, would I spend money to replace it? Be honest. Would you actually go out and buy another fondue set? Would you replace the bread maker sitting in the back of the cabinet? Would you repurchase the clothes you have not worn in over a year? For most things, the honest answer is no. You would not replace them. They exist in your life through habit and inertia, not because you would consciously choose to have them. These items cost you money to store. They take up space you are paying rent on. They take up mental energy, and they give you nothing back. Marcus has a storage unit costing him $120 a month, $1,440 a year, to store things he would not replace if they disappeared tomorrow. He is paying rent on things he does not even want. Claire does not have a storage unit. She does not need one, because she regularly asks the replacement question and removes anything that does not pass it. The result is not deprivation. It is clarity. When you only keep things you would actively choose to have, decisions get simpler, cleaning takes half the time, and the psychological weight of owning things you do not want stops dragging on you. There is a pattern that shows up constantly in people who earn good money but build nothing. They replace perfectly working things because they are bored of them. The television works perfectly, but the new model has slightly better picture. The phone is flawless, but the latest version has a slightly better camera. The car runs reliably, but the new model looks different. The furniture does its job, but they have grown tired of looking at it. These upgrades feel like progress. What they actually are is wealth destruction disguised as improvement. The average person replaces their phone every 2 to 3 years, often while the previous phone still works perfectly. Over 30 years, that pattern costs $30,000 to $50,000 in unnecessary upgrades alone. Apply the same cycle to cars, furniture, electronics, and clothes, and the lifetime waste easily passes $200,000. Not from one big mistake. From a long series of small upgrades that each felt completely reasonable at the time. Marcus upgraded his phone last year. His old phone still worked perfectly. Claire still has her phone from 3 years ago. It makes calls. It runs apps. It does everything a phone needs to do. The rule is simple. Replace something when it genuinely cannot do what it is supposed to do. Boredom is not a reason. A newer version existing is not a reason. Actual breakdown is the only reason. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. This is not a character flaw. It is just how people are wired. If spending is easy and saving is difficult, you will spend. If saving is easy and spending is difficult, you will save. The people who always have money do not rely on willpower. They build systems. Marcus relies on willpower. Every time he sees something he wants, he has to consciously decide not to buy it. And eventually, especially when he is tired, stressed, or having a bad day, the willpower runs out. Claire relies on systems. She removed stored card details from every shopping website, so every purchase requires her to go and get the card. That one small friction stops most impulse purchases before they start. She has a 48-hour rule on anything that is not essential. If she still wants it in 2 days, she buys it. If she does not, she forgets about it. The wanting fades within a day for most things. The desire was never really about the object. It was about the momentary feeling of deciding to buy. She deleted shopping apps from her phone. She unsubscribed from every promotional email. She keeps only a small amount in her everyday checking account. The rest goes somewhere else before she ever sees it. She set up automatic transfers to her investment account on the same day her paycheck arrives, before the money has a chance to sit in checking and feel spendable. Each one of these changes is small. Together, they make saving the default and spending the effort. That matters more than willpower, because willpower runs out. Systems do not. The 48-hour rule alone eliminates roughly 70% of impulse purchases. Not through discipline, through delay. Here is the trap that catches high earners more than anyone, and it is the trap that explains most of the gap between Marcus and Claire. Marcus never decided what enough looks like. So he keeps spending more and never arrives anywhere. Every time his income goes up, his lifestyle expands to match it. The new lifestyle becomes the new normal, so he needs another raise to feel like he is making progress. This cycle repeats indefinitely. People earning $300,000 a year report feeling just as financially stressed as people earning $80,000, because their expectations and expenses expanded alongside every raise. The finish line keeps moving. Claire decided what enough looks like before her income grew. She decided what kind of home is enough, what kind of car meets her needs, what level of comfort actually makes her life better versus just looking better to other people. And when her income grew beyond that, the extra went entirely into saving and investing, not into a bigger apartment or a nicer car. This is the whole difference. The person who defined enough at $38,000 of annual spending and then earned $54,000 is directing $16,000 a year toward financial freedom. Meanwhile, someone earning $95,000 who never defined enough might save almost nothing. The gap between those two people has nothing to do with income. It has everything to do with whether they set a finish line or let the goalposts keep moving. Without a finish line, you are running a race that never ends. No matter how fast you run, you never arrive. Most people measure wealth by what they own: houses, cars, things, visible signs of success. Claire measures wealth differently. She measures it by what she can choose. Can she leave a job that is making her miserable? Can she take 3 months off if a family member needs her? Can she say no to an opportunity that pays well but costs her something more important? Can she start something new without needing a guaranteed income first? These options, this freedom to choose, are the real measure of wealth. And that freedom only exists when there is a gap between what you earn and what you need to spend. Marcus earns $95,000 and spends most of it. He has almost no freedom to choose. He cannot take a pay cut. He cannot walk away from a bad situation. He cannot take a risk. His lifestyle has made him a prisoner of his own income. Claire earns $54,000 and spends $38,000 of it. She has real freedom to choose. She can absorb a disruption. She can take a career risk. She can make decisions based on what she actually wants, not what she financially needs. Every purchase is not just money exchanged for an object. Every purchase is trading freedom for possession. The question Claire asks before every purchase is this: is this worth reducing my ability to make free choices about my own life? Sometimes the answer is yes. A good home, reliable transport, food that supports her health, of course. But the fourth streaming service, the phone upgrade, the jacket that does the same job as the one already in the wardrobe. When you frame the purchase as a trade against your freedom, most of those decisions become very simple. Here is the thing nobody tells you about choosing the Claire path. It gets easier over time, not harder. The relationship between owning less and having more money runs in both directions. Owning less creates more money. That part is obvious. But having more money also makes owning less feel natural. When your savings are growing and your investment account is building, the urge to fill that gap with things starts to disappear. The need for status, security, and control that drives most spending gets filled by actual financial strength instead of by objects. You do not need the things to feel successful, because your bank account is already telling you a better story. Marcus is stuck in the opposite cycle. Spending everything creates insecurity. Insecurity creates the urge to spend more to feel better. More spending deepens the insecurity. The cycle keeps going until something forces a break. Claire is in the other cycle. Spending less created savings. Savings created real security. Security reduced the urge to spend. Reduced spending accelerated the savings further. Each turn reinforces the next. The choice between these two cycles determines financial outcomes more than income ever could. High earners in the first cycle build nothing. Modest earners in the second cycle build everything. Marcus earns $95,000. He has $2,200 in savings. He is 2 missed paychecks from a crisis. Claire earns $54,000. She has 14 months of expenses saved. She invests 20% of every paycheck. She sleeps through the night. The 6 rules that explain the difference. 1. Calculate cost per use before every purchase. Not the price on the tag, the real cost divided by the times you will actually use it. 2. Apply the replacement test to everything you own. If it disappeared today, would you spend money to replace it? If not, it is costing you more than it is giving you. 3. Never upgrade something that still works. Boredom is not a reason to replace something. Breakdown is. 4. Engineer your system so that saving happens automatically and spending requires effort. Do not rely on willpower. Build friction. 5. Define what enough looks like before your income grows. Set a finish line, then direct everything above it toward freedom. 6. Measure wealth by what you can choose. not by what you own. Every purchase trades freedom for possession. Make that trade consciously. Both lifestyles are available to you, regardless of what you earn right now. The choice is whether you want to own your things or whether you are comfortable with your things owning you. And the answer to that question, more than your salary, more than your investments, more than any financial strategy, determines where you end up. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe to Marcus Finance and turn on your notification bell because you do not want to miss the next one. I will see you there.